All right, so you sent over this article about Anavar and fat loss. Seems like everyone's always looking for that magic bullet for torching fat and packing on muscle.
Yeah, and this one claims Anavar could be the key.
So before we get too deep, can we back up a bit?
hmm
What exactly are we dealing with here?
Well, Anavar, or Oxandrolone, it's an anabolic steroid.
Okay, an anabolic steroid. But the article seems to really hone in on the fat burning aspect, even saying it can, like, simultaneously build muscle and burn fat.
Right, and that's what makes it kind of unique in the steroid world. It's known for potentially having a bigger impact on fat burning than some other muscle-building steroids.
So not all steroids are created equal when it comes to fat. That's news to me.
Exactly. Different types of fat, different effects. We've got subcutaneous fat, the stuff just under the skin, the stuff we can pinch.
Right, got it.
And then there's the sneakiest kind, visceral fat. That's the stuff deep inside hanging out around our organs.
The hidden danger. So we could be fixated on the scale, but it's this visceral fat that's the real troublemaker.
That's the thing. Visceral fat is linked to a whole bunch of health problems. And what's interesting here, this is where the article takes a turn, it suggests that Anavar might actually target both types of fat.
Really, both subcutaneous and visceral.
That's what they're claiming. And that's pretty unusual for an anabolic steroid. Some steroids, they might help you lose that subcutaneous fat, make you look leaner on the outside.
Right, the smoke and mirrors effect.
Exactly, but then you could actually be increasing that deeper, more dangerous visceral fat at the same time.
So you could be thinking you're getting healthier, but actually be making things worse.
Unfortunately, that can happen. It all comes down to how different steroids mess with our hormones and how our body distributes fat. Think of it this way. You get that ripped, sculpted look, but potentially at the expense of what's happening inside. That steroid gut they talk about.
Ah, so you might have a six-pack on the outside.
But a ticking time bomb underneath?
Not exactly the trade-off I'd be looking for. So it's like you could be chiseling away at the surface, but building up this hidden fat reservoir deeper inside.
Yeah, kind of scary when you think about it like that.
It is, and it makes this whole Anavar might be different thing pretty intriguing. But let's get down to brass tacks. Does the article say how much weight someone could actually expect to lose?
Well, not in a straightforward way. See, the article suggests that you might not even see a huge difference on the scale. Yeah, and that's because you're potentially putting on muscle at the same time that you're losing fat.
Right. Muscle being denser than fat, all that.
Exactly. So it's not just about the number on the scale, it's about body composition. It could be the same weight, but look and feel totally different.
Makes sense. So it's less about what the scale says and more about how your clothes fit, how you look in the mirror, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And the article really drives that point home. They're big on tracking progress with pictures, measurements, how your clothes fit. All good advice in general, really.
For sure. But did they back up those fat loss claims with anything concrete?
They did mention a study, a group of older men, just taking Anavar. They lost like 4 pounds of fat over 12 weeks.
Okay, 4 pounds in 3 months. Is that a lot?
Well, here's the thing. They weren't even dieting or going crazy with exercise during the study.
Oh, wow. So just kind of going about their lives, taking the Anavar and dropping 4 pounds of fat.
That's what the study suggests.
Makes you wonder what kind of results someone could see with a solid workout plan and a really strict diet on top of the Anavar.
Right. But, got to add the disclaimer here. It's just one study and everyone's different. Results can vary wildly.
Of course. But if we're talking about individual factors, what about dosage? Did the article get into the nitty-gritty of how much Anavar someone would actually take?
They did, yeah. For men, they suggest starting around 15 milligrams a day, maybe going up to 20 milligrams.
Okay.
And for women, they recommend starting lower, like 5 milligrams a day, potentially bumping it up to 10.
So there's a range, not like a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
Right, and it's not a more is better situation. The article makes it clear that going overboard on the dosage doesn't guarantee faster results. Could even be riskier.
Right, diminishing returns and all that.
Yeah.
I've also heard about splitting doses throughout the day. Is that a thing with Anavar?
Yeah, the article touched on that too.
Is that like a timing thing or?
It's all about keeping those testosterone levels stable.
Ah, okay.
Splitting the dose helps maintain a more consistent level of the drug in your system. Could mean better results, fewer hormonal ups and downs.
Okay, so we've covered the potential upsides, but we got to talk about the potential downsides too. We're talking about messing with our hormones here. There's always a catch.
You said it. No such thing as a free lunch, especially with something like Anavar.
Exactly. So lay it on me. What are the risks?
Well, the article It highlights a few big ones. Liver stress, that's a major concern with oral steroids.
Right.
And then there's the potential for negative changes in cholesterol levels.
Okay, and those can lead to some serious issues down the road. What else?
And for men specifically, there's the risk of testosterone suppression.
Testosterone suppression, right. So
Yeah.
we're talking about potentially messing with some pretty fundamental systems in the body here. It makes you wonder, is it worth it? Is achieving that certain look, that physique, worth potentially compromising your health? Where do we draw the line?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's a conversation we all have to have with ourselves.
Totally. And speaking of risks, I noticed the article briefly mentioned combining Anavar with other substances, something about stacking it with Clenbuterol for even more fat loss. What's that all about?
Yeah, stacking, they do mention that. So clenbuterol, it's not an anabolic steroid like Anavar. It's actually a sympathomimetic amine.
What? Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
Okay, so imagine clenbuterol, like it basically replicates that fight or flight response in your body. It kind of tricks your body into thinking it's running from a bear or something, even if you're just relaxing on the couch.
So it's like hitting the gas on your metabolism.
Exactly. It revs up your system, increases your metabolic rate, your body temperature, all that, hence the supposed fat burning effect.
Okay, so it's cranking up your internal engine to torch those calories. Sounds kind of intense.
It can be, and the article does mention some downsides to stacking these substances, especially for your heart.
Ah, right, because we're already talking about some potential heart risks with the Anavar alone.
Exactly. And combining it with clenbuterol, well, it can put a real strain on your cardiovascular system. We're talking increased risk of things like irregular heartbeat, even more serious cardiac events.
Okay, so that's definitely not something to mess around with.
Not at all.
This whole conversation just makes you think about the pressure people put on themselves to achieve a certain look.
Mm.
Is it all about aesthetics, or are there deeper, psychological factors at play here?
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the before and after photos, the physical transformations.
Right, the quick fix.
Exactly. But we can't forget about the mental and emotional side of things, too.
It's like, could using a drug like Anavar, even if it does deliver on those physical promises, could it actually be masking deeper issues with body image?
Mm.
Could it even lead to a dependence on these kinds of quick fixes? Big questions to ask ourselves.
For sure. We got to look at the whole picture, inside and out. Are we addressing the root cause of why we might not be happy with our bodies? Or are we just putting a Band-Aid on things, a Band-Aid with potential side effects?
Right, it's more than skin deep. Well, on that note, I think we've done a pretty thorough deep dive on Anavar. It's potent stuff, no doubt, but it's not a magic bullet.
Definitely not.
It comes with its own set of risks and rewards. To our listeners out there, remember, knowledge is power, but it's how we use that knowledge that really matters. Be smart, listen to your body, and most importantly, talk to your doctor before making any decisions that could affect your health.
Couldn't agree more.
Until next time, everybody, stay informed and stay safe.